Writers talk about setting the tone in their stories all the time, but what does that mean? Is it how hard you make the reader cry or laugh? Today we're defining tone and what it entails. A big thank you to Alan J. Early for suggesting this topic. Be sure to stick around to learn more. Hey guys, Nour here, and welcome back to my channel. And for those visiting for the first time, hello! I'm the fantasy author of the novel Divinity Falling. Be sure to subscribe for weekly writing advice videos. So the tone. A lot of new writers get overwhelmed when they hear the word tone. But it's honestly not that bad. To sum up what tone really is, I'm going to use movies as an example. When you're watching a movie and the background music comes on to set the scene, that's the tone. Let's go even deeper into the example. You're watching a horror movie and the main character gets up in the middle of the night after she hears a door creaking. Just then, creepy music starts playing, which makes you extra nervous. This creepy music is the tone. It is the movie director's way of setting the scene and letting everyone feel a certain way. Photographers also set the tone of their photos. Of course, they don't use words or music. Instead, they use shadows and angles. They might take a photo of a person from a high angle to make it seem like something is looming or overpowering that person. They might even use shadows to create this feeling of sadness. Now, of course, most of my examples here are very sad emotions, but tone can be almost any emotion, including romantic and happy. For instance, happy background songs can make viewers feel energized and optimistic. Now, when it comes to setting the tone in a written story, you, the writer, obviously can't use shadows, angles, and music to tell the reader how you want them to feel about the scene. All you have is words, and that's really all you need. I always talk about embracing show don't tell, and that's especially true when you're trying to set the tone. Because you could say Ingrid felt happy, which doesn't really move the reader. Or you could say Ingrid didn't care about her awful voice. She sang at the top of her lungs and bounced all the way to her room. The latter example creates tone. It lets us feel Ingrid's happiness and hear the bounce in her step. It has a more 3D feel to it. Show don't tell, in my opinion, can truly help you set the tone. The right descriptive words can act like music in the backdrop. Here are some examples from Divinity Falling. The first example: the gate loomed over me, mocking me for being on the wrong side. If I didn't utilize show don't tell, I would have simply said I couldn't go through the closed gate. The gate is obviously not mocking my main character, but when it's described that way, it sets the tone and lets my reader know that my main character is in trouble. Here's another example. His sandalwood cologne reeked like incense, seeming to surge from the hole in his head or the fearful energy left behind in his body. Here, I could have just said he's dead. But again, that's not really as moving. My word choices make the reader feel present in the scene and urge them to feel a little bit sad and afraid. My words, in other words, are the background music of this narrative. This is why show don't tell is so important. Once you master show don't tell, setting the tone becomes easy. Whenever you're trying to capture a tone on the page, avoid telling the reader the direct emotion. Don't say the character felt happy, the character felt afraid, and so on. Try to think of other ways to show that emotion. Utilize the setting the way I did with the looming gate. Utilize the 5 senses to make readers uncomfortable or even excited. Use descriptive words instead of vague ones to draw the scene and create those shadows and angles. And when you put everything together, that's when your story has a tone. Also, one last tip. When you're setting the tone, make sure the overall tone of your story is the same. For example, you don't want to just go from dark to comedic. For instance, don't write about someone's sad death and then in the next sentence follow it up with a joke. The only exception to that is if you have a dark comedy of sorts and you have really dark humor. Otherwise, stick to the tone. So that's all I have for you today. I'd love to know, what's the tone of the current story you're writing? Let me know in the comments. If you're new to my channel, be sure to subscribe. I put out weekly writing advice videos that will take your story to the next level. Also, don't forget to follow me on social media to see what I'm up to from day to day and to chat with me. Also, before we go, I just want to give a quick shout out to Sarah Frayne, Laura B, and Alan J. Early from my shout outs here over on Patreon, as well as all my amazing patrons. Thank you all so much for your support. I really appreciate it. And remember, Nour for president!